Men of Crisis. The Harvey Wallinger story. 1968, an election year, and the Democratic Party turns to Hubert Humphrey, a man of grace and balance. Although publicly he is identified with Lyndon Johnson's thinking, privately he makes no mistake about his feelings toward the president's war policies. The best minds of the Republican Party meet in Miami Beach. After much discussion, they choose a man of force and magnitude. But that man refuses the nomination, and they settle for...
If anybody asked me whether, for example, I would use my presidential limousine to run over somebody when it lies down in front of him, as I said in the program tonight, I would not.
There is also a third party candidate, Governor George Wallace, Alabama.
I have never made a statement in my life that reflected upon anybody because of race, a color, a creed, a religion, or national origin that has been distorted and slanted so much by so many.
Election day comes and Richard Nixon finds himself a winner. It is a close election, and the new president pays homage to the many intellectuals who supported him.
I think the very fact that through men like Art Linkletter and Bob Hope and others that I've gotten to know, that I will approach the problems of the presidency with a recognition that no matter how serious they are, that there are times that you have to see the light side.
Promising changes in the Capitol, Nixon is asked if one of them will be to get rid of J. Edgar Hoover, the aging head of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, who had recently placed himself on the 10 most wanted list. Asked if he will now tell the country his secret plan to end the war, a plan he would not disclose before the election, he says, the new president picks the men who will surround him carefully. His vice presidential running mate is Spiro T. Agnew, former governor of Maryland. A great physical specimen, poised and well coordinated. His fine athletic instincts add to his appeal.
I will bear true faith in...
For Secretary of Defense, he chooses Melvin Laird. Laird also has a plan to end the Vietnamese War. So complicated that only 2 people in the world understand it, and neither one of them is Laird.
That I will well and faithfully perform.
Promising the country law and order, Nixon appoints John Mitchell as Attorney General. Mitchell has many ideas for strengthening the country's law enforcement methods and is hampered only by lack of funds and the Constitution.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
He is an intelligent and solemn man, and his lovely wife adds a note of quiet charm to the administration.
Adorable husband presented me with this official American League baseball. He told me not to come home until it was signed. Whee!
Adding a final touch, President Nixon calls to Washington his old friend and political advisor, Harvey Wallinger.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
I don't understand the question. Can you rephrase the? Can you rephrase the question? Is it possible? Because I got distracted. You know, because my suit itches, so I was not paying it. Is possible? Could you ask it one more time? The question. I'll you know, just what ask. Say the question again, and I'll give you an answer directly. I'll uphold the Constitution. What is it? Just don't be ashamed. Say it one more time. Good. I have the job, right? I don't have anything to worry about.
I've been very pleased that the members of the press, for example, who have had an opportunity to hear and to see him, have recognized the quality that I recognize in him. A man of intelligence, a man of great ability, a man who will bring a new approach that is vitally needed and to whom I can entrust those responsibilities.
I want you to get an injunction against the Times. Yes, it's a New York Jewish communist left-wing homosexual newspaper, and that's just the sports section.
Let me make one thing very clear. When I say we shall end the war and win the peace, I mean exactly that. That's why I rule out ending the war in a way that would lose the peace.
What Mr. Nixon means is that it's important to win the war and also win the peace, or at the very least lose the war and lose the peace, or win at least part of the peace, or win 2 pieces perhaps, or lose a few pieces but win a piece of the war. The other alternative would be to win a piece of the war or lose a piece of Mr. Nixon. We decided to bomb Laos because a very strategic reason. We were not happy with the way it was spelled.
One Federal Communications Commissioner considers the powers of the networks equal to that of local, state, and federal governments all combined.
There is not a phase of government policy Dr. Wallinger is not abreast of, including the now famous Agnew media speech.
Now, what do Americans know of the men who wield this power? Of the men who produce and direct the network news, the nation knows practically nothing.
You know, Mr. Agnew has been extremely upset over television ever since they dropped Gilligan's Island.
In addition to his dramatic public life, Harvey Wallinger leads an equally flamboyant private life.
I dated him, but yeah, I dated him. He was one of my first major boyfriends. I mean, he was like the first person, you know, I ever slept with or anything.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How'd you find him?
It was a mistake. It was, I mean, you know, just, it was a bad first experience. Do you know what I mean? I mean, he was nice and all that, but it was just, you're supposed to have a good first experience, you know, to set you up right for the rest of your life, you know. This wasn't it.
Sex. He was really sexy. Yes, very sexy. And like a real, I don't know how. I mean, you just feel it all over when he looks at you.
And we used to double date a lot with the Nixons, Pat and Dick, and, you know, like, we'd go out, you know, to a supper club and dancing and stuff, and, you know, he would dance with Dick. I mean, that was nice, right? You know, because no one really wanted to dance with Dick then, and he would want to dance with Dick, and I mean, I just thought that was sweet.
Oh, yes, oh, real freak, a real freak. The greatest freak.
Pat Nixon occasionally calls me, you know, and says, you know, Dick's not home, come on over, he's on a European trip or something, and, but I try and discourage that kind of thing because, I just don't think it's right.
And I really wanted to marry him, you know, I really liked him, he was really special to me, and, I was putting the pressure on him, I could tell, you know, he was feeling very pressured by the whole thing, and he used his influence in Washington and got me drafted. And I spent 6 months in Korea. You know, I was decorated and everything, but that's what happened, you know. It wasn't exactly what I wanted, you know.
There's a lot of talk around Washington that you have an extremely active social life.
Well, that's greatly exaggerated, I think. I like attractive women. I like sex, you know, but it must be American sex. I don't like un-American sex.
Oh, well, how would you distinguish American sex?
If you're ashamed of it, it's American sex. You know, that's important. If you feel guilt and shame, you know, otherwise, I think sex without guilt is bad because it almost becomes pleasurable.
Who is this all-powerful man? What are the origins of his enormous hold on the president?
Nobody gets in to see the president without going through Harvey Wallinger. If you want something done, why, you got to be in good with Harvey. If Mrs. Nixon wants to kiss her husband, she must kiss Harvey first.
He has a unique relationship to the president. Strange to say, as far as I know, I think he's the only person that can make the president laugh. It's incredible. But well, he tickles him. Tickles him. And the president seems to, he'll come right up behind him and tickle him. The president laughs, and he's always seemed to like that.
Born to parents of German Jewish extraction, Harvey Wallinger is named after Rabbi Harold Weinstock, who will later be wanted by the police for passing counterfeit matzah. His father, J. Herbert Wallinger, a grocer, dies in childbirth. His mother, the former Anna Cheswick, is a newspaper woman who has an affair with Mussolini until she discovers he is Italian. Harvey has 4 brothers who study aviation, but become coal miners because of a poor sense of direction. He enrolls at John Dillinger High School in Chicago, but his attendance is poor, and he shows up for class twice in 4 years. At Harvard, he makes the football team, but during the Harvard-Yale game, he's tackled hard and for 6 months can only speak Polish. Harvey Wallinger graduates and breaks a record as 96th in a class of 95. He joins the law firm of Fliegler, 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 and Fliegler. We spoke with the Flieglers, who have only the highest regard for him.
Yes, Harvey was a very promising young man. Excuse me, would you care for a cigarette?
No, thank you.
Do you mind if I smoke?
Not at all.
See, a law firm has to stick together. It's not that we can't tolerate diverse opinions, but we find it safer to stay on the more conservative side. Harvey fit in quite well. His idol at that time was Senator Joseph McCarthy.
Would you state your name, please?
Samuel Morris.
And tell me, Mr. Morris, have you ever been a member of a communist organization?
No, sir, I have not.
And you've never, to the best of your knowledge, belonged to any group that was in any way planning the overthrow of the United States government?
No, sir.
I see. Do the initials BSOA mean anything to you?
No, sir.
No. Then you're not familiar with an organization called the Boy Scouts of America?
Yes, sir.
And were you ever a member of such a group?
No, sir, I was not.
You were not a member?
No, sir, I was not.
And did you attend meetings?
From time to time, yes.
I see. You attended meetings, but you were not a member?
That's correct, sir.
Well, how many meetings did you attend?
I can't remember.
Well, did you attend 10, 5, 100?
I can't remember, sir.
Well, why? Why can't you remember? I mean, have you got a faulty memory?
No, sir. It was too long ago. I can't remember. It must have been in the 30s.
In the 1930s?
Yes, sir. I must have been about 8 years old at the time.
Do you recall any other people that attended these Boy Scout meetings?
I think there was Harold Greenblatt. Jerry Becker.
There is no Jerry Becker on this list.
Well, I can't remember, sir. I might have the name wrong.
Well, why wouldn't you remember?
Well, I wasn't a regular member. I didn't see them that often.
How old were you at the time?
Well, I was 8 years old. That's why I couldn't become a member. You see, you have to be 10 years old before you can join the Boy Scouts.
I see. To the best of your knowledge, did you ever save anyone from drowning?
No, sir, I did not.
Have you ever drowned yourself?
No, sir, I have not.
You've never drowned?
No, sir.
And at no time?
No, sir, I did not.
Well, I have information here that says you have drowned on several occasions.
I can't remember ever drowning, sir.
I see. You don't remember being submerged underwater for an inordinately long period of time?
Not to my knowledge, sir, no.
I see.
Harvey Wallinger has impressed Richard Nixon and his friend Joe McCarthy. Nixon and Wallinger become inseparable. Their political beliefs coincide. They both love Richard Nixon.
funny thing about Mr. Nixon and Vice President Agnew, that both men are genuinely sympathetic to the intellectual cause. They're both basically intellectuals themselves. They will occasionally read, and both men can write, you know, and they know all the numbers in sequence, or almost all the numbers.
1956. It is a time of peace and contentment for America and the Republican Party. Harvey Wallinger surprises intimates by getting married. She is Renata Baldwin, who attends Vassar College, where she studies to be a blacksmith. They get married on Halloween while a close friend says a few warm words to the young couple at the affair.
There was a time 25 years ago when corn blight came. We might not have had enough in storage to take up the slack, but beyond that, we might not have developed the capability to deal with the problem. But now we not only have the amount in storage to take up the gap, but we also, as I understand, due to the enormous facilities of research and the brains and the overtime and the genius that have gone into it, we are finding an answer to this problem.
He was just romantic, but he would have a tough time because, as I say, he couldn't stop from crossing his legs, you know. He always had his legs crossed when he was trying to make love, and he couldn't seem to uncross them. So we'd have problems in that respect.
1960, and Eisenhower steps down. Richard Nixon runs for the presidency against John F. Kennedy. Confident the country will not vote for a Catholic, Nixon agrees to debate his young opponent.
Yeah, right. Again, but
very sensitive that
I think
way.
Kennedy is a good-looking man, and he can't...
Kennedy doesn't have a chance. He's a Catholic.
Yeah, but what has that got to do with anything?
Why, you can't get elected in this country when you're a Catholic. Everybody
Say
knows
that. George Washington was Catholic.
Yeah.
Ask J. Edgar Hoover. They got all the facts. They said he was Protestant to get votes. He was a closet Catholic. This guy was,
Gerd.
Abraham Lincoln was a Jew. That's the truth. He went to Hebrew school. His name was Abe Trochman. He was a Jew. He's got the beard. Come on.
The country does vote for a Catholic, and after one of the closest elections in history, Richard Nixon loses.
I could not convince him to take a shave for those debates. I said, Dick, you're going to be on television. Take a shave. He said, well, a shave, that's $1.50 from a barber plus 50 cents for a tip. I said, I'll give you the money. Take a shave. Then he said, no, it would irritate his face. He had extra sensitive skin. See, I was against those debates with Kennedy to begin with, because in a debate, you have to deal with issues. And I kept him from making that same mistake in 1968.
1962. Nixon is defeated in the California gubernatorial race. He says a gracious farewell to politics.
Just think how much you're going to be missing. You don't have Nixon to kick around anymore.
With his dreams of political power frustrated, Harvey Wallinger also goes back to private practice. He also gets divorced.
He had an affair with a Democrat. I mean, there's certain things I could take, but that one, no, sir. I mean, really, that's going too far, don't you think? I don't mind him having affairs with possibly other women of say, the Republican Party, but to really do that to me, and I actually caught him in the act, you know what I mean? There's nothing possibly worse than sleeping with a Democrat. They're lascivious people. They're dirty. And they don't clean themselves.
Sex is a very capricious thing, you know. Sometimes I feel like making love to a Democrat, and sometimes I feel like making love to a Republican, you know, and generally I try and wait and see what the Russians do first. And...
Yes, he pays me a phenomenal amount of alimony, although I'm also, I'm, you know, independently wealthy. Yes, I come from a very good family. They're not Jewish.
1968, and America is in turmoil. A fresh face is needed to unite the country. The Republicans turn to Richard Nixon. Once again, in the background is his friend and close associate, Harvey Wallinger.
What do you think?
I think that if we moved out the jowls here a little bit...
Can you give him some warmth, some character? You know, it's like looking at a cement wall.
Harvey.
See, the problem is the jowls and the nose, there's a... Can you give his face a kind of a little more character or something?
No, I
No
can't.
more character.
No more
Even
character.
if you use a lot of makeup, maybe?
No, Harvey, look at it. Look at it.
I know, it lacks commitment.
Look at Harvey.
You know?
Look at Harvey, Mr. Nixon.
Yeah, Dick, will you take a look at me for a second? Yeah, you see what I mean? It's not a vote-getting face. It puts people off, is the problem.
If we could just block out
Yeah, that's
these
You know what I'm thinking? Is there any possibility of doing blackface? Because I think we get a certain segment of the population.
I don't want to deal with you anymore, Harvey. Just leave me alone. I can't work with you.
His eyebrows are negative. Relax. Dick, when you relax, you're going to be out there in a minute. The eyebrows are negative. The eyebrows make a statement, and they say, they say, don't vote for me.
That's right.
That's the problem, is that you can't... the face doesn't spell trust, you know? Even though you and I both know that inside he's a wonderful human being.
There's a new latex process. If we filled in through here and pulled the eyes down and covered the eyebrows a little bit.
Maybe if we covered the entire face over with a flag, you know?
What country?
I see another child tonight. He hears the train go by at night, and he dreams of faraway places where he'd like to go. Seems like an impossible dream. But he is helped on his journey through life. A father who had to go to work before he finished the 6th grade sacrificed everything he had so that his sons could go to college. A gentle Quaker mother with a passionate concern for peace quietly wept when he went to war, but she understood why he had to go. A great teacher, a remarkable football coach, an inspirational minister, encouraged him on his way. A courageous wife and loyal children stood by him in victory and also in defeat. And in his chosen profession of politics, first there were scores, then hundreds, then thousands, and finally millions worked for his success. And tonight, he stands before you, nominated for President of the United States of America. What is, Bryce, what is the proper name for that?
On November 3rd, 1968, the dream of Harvey Wallinger comes true. Richard Nixon is elected President of the United States. This time, the country is electrified by the dynamic twosome, Nixon and Agnew.
I'm sorry, then I misspoke myself. The East Wing is the one on the other side, but this is in the West Wing, where the President has his office, as you know, in the Oval Office, and then there is another office there where well, to be quite precise, the Governor will occupy the office which is currently occupied by the President's top administrative assistant.
Under the new administration, the White House becomes a cultural mecca.
Gee, that's a beautiful place over here you got, the White House. I think I'll be with my wife if you got extra room for me. Wouldn't be a bad idea. So this number you called Charlita Linda. I played it on television. It was fantastic. How you like that? Where'd you ever see that?
The years of work have paid off. From obscure beginnings, Harvey Wallinger has become the second most powerful man in the nation.
Sir, just a couple of questions, if you don't mind, sir. Sir, how come the Attorney General couldn't be here himself for this press conference?
Attorney General Mitchell is busy. He's wiretapping Mr. Nixon's phone at the moment.
What do you think of preventive detention?
I think that it's a good thing. I think it's important to put the criminal in jail before he commits the crime. That's the feeling of the administration.
In the days to come, the Nixon-Agnew-Wallinger Brain Trust will make America into a greater country than she has ever been in history. Next week on Men of Crisis, the plot to kidnap John Lindsay.
Can you still see the meteor?
Yes, Vina. And it's drawing nearer and nearer.
You already have a comet named after you, Professor, so this one's mine. You promised. Bobby's comet. Maybe it's as big as the world. Maybe bigger. Maybe
Bobby, just now it's very small, but very menacing. In moments now, it will strike the Earth. We can watch it fall on physiograph. Let's hope it doesn't fall too close.
Gosh, Vina, it'd be a dirty trick if my comet landed on top of us.
There's no sound to a comet or a meteor. I'm going to get a closer view of the telescope. Mr. Secretary! Mr. Secretary!
Yes, Professor. What is your latest observation of the meteor approaching Earth?
It isn't a meteor, it's a rocket, a man-made weapon.
1 moment, please. Marshal, our latest tabulation, quickly. Position now. Celestial meridian, 87 degrees. Parallel, 233 degrees. Moment of contact with Earth, checked, rechecked, and is now absolute. 1510 plus 30.
Professor Newton, who's shooting at us?
I don't know, Bobby. No one knows.
"45 seconds to go, sir." "20 seconds, sir."
Crash 2 degrees, 0.5 north of here.
Why, it's headed right for the Newton Observatory where the professor is. "7 seconds more, sir."
Professor Newton, Dina, and Bobby. Professor Newton, answer. Are you all right?
A meteor is playing tag with us, but we're okay, Mr. Secretary.
Yes. Luckily, the weapon just missed the mountaintop here where we are. But I'm afraid it hit the internation airport. We'll drive over immediately and see. I'll report to you from there. Secretary.
Yes, Professor. Did you find where it landed?
Just as I said, the airport. It barely missed the landing strip. Fortunately, no one was hurt. I'll order equipment to lower me into the crater. I only hope there's enough of the weapon left so I can find out something about it.
We've got to somehow. But take no unnecessary chances. Be careful, Professor. We're lucky, Marshal. If this is the start of a bombardment of Earth, their first shot was wasted. Where's Rocky Jones?
That's Rocky in his orbit jet, sir. Rocky isn't convinced that Griff is dead, so he's patrolling the Asiatic region to be on the lookout.
Right?
Hey, Winky. The astrophone's running over. Get on it.
Office of Space Affairs to XV2. Calling Space Ranger Rocky Jones.
This is the XV2 to Office of Space Affairs. This is Rocky Jones.
Cancel your patrol, Rocky. Report back immediately.
Yes, sir. We should make it by 0214.
Over and out.
Okay, Rocky, cut it out.
Cut out what, Winky?
You know what. You backtracked into our sound wash and woke me up.
Well, maybe Secretary Drake will give you office duty at our Tibet Observatory. 40 below zero. That's fine, sleeping mother.
Oh, no, anything but that. I'll stay awake. What in the name of space? What is it? What was it?
Now these are the fragments I was able to dig from the crater. The entire missile, its shell, its mechanism, was built of this crystal-like material, which I would call a poor substitute for our alloys.
Poor substitute, Professor. Well, for anything at all to remain after such an impact, I think, is remarkable, especially after the great distance it traveled.
Phenomenal power, Rocky. Yes. We on Earth, with all our ego, we're far behind whoever built this missile.
Well, what about atomic energy, Professor?
Oh, they probably had that long before we did.
Oh, Marshal, have you been able to contact our Tibet station? Haven't they answered yet?
Sorry, sir, they haven't replied to my signals. I'll keep on trying.
I can say this, however, that basically the power used to project their strange weapon is developed by friction. For example, rub two pieces of crystal together and intense heat and energy are generated.
Careful, Bobby. That's powerful material.
That's right, Bobby. Now, Vina, what are your conclusions in this matter?
Well, sir, I can show you on the map. By backtracking the constant arc of the orbit since you first saw the missile, it could only have come from here, Jupiter's moon.
Fornax. Well, I can hardly believe it. Professor, that moon is so hot it was used to coin our word furnace. Why, Fornax glitters with a white heat so intense, nothing could possibly live there.
Ah, nothing perhaps but crystal. And crystal grows in such intense heat. And growth is life. We've always believed that there could be no life on Fornax. But a true scientist never believes anything until it's proven.
Professor, you've heard the saying, seeing is believing.
Of course, but Rocky, you don't mean that...
Exactly. We'll see for ourselves.
You're a brave lad, Rocky. It will be a dangerous mission. But oh, what an exciting and worthwhile adventure.
Professor Newton believes they need our ores and alloys for metal, just as we would like to learn about their great wealth of energy.
Well, what do you think, Rocky? Can we make it?
It'll be a rough hop, Winky. From right here to right there. And we'll be out of the traffic area all the way.
Mm-hmm. Well, where's our refueling station?
Winky. Right here to right there.
Oh. You mean if we're lucky?
Stand by for report to headquarters. Mr. Secretary, we've made contact with the Tibet Observatory.
Secretary of Space Drake asking information on missile which crashed in your area. Approximate time 1300.
I saw it land, Mr. Secretary, and dispatched the Rangers stationed here to investigate.
Regardless of what they find, you are to report simply that a meteor fell. I don't want the real story to leak out.
What is the real story, Mr. Secretary?
2 missiles with fantastic power have been projected to Earth from Fornax.
Fornax?
Professor Newton is certain that the planet is rich in an energy greater than atomic. Brief your Rangers when they return. And this information is not to be made public until Rocky returns from an explorative flight and we can stake a claim.
Very well, sir. Now, don't interfere in this, Griff. You haven't got a chance.
So Fornax is a rich prize, eh? And Rocky's going to stake a claim for Drake. Well... Sorry, Rocky, you won't get to Fornax first. In fact, you won't get there at all. If we can blast off by 0730, planetary positions will be at their best. Rocky, I've been nailed to desk duty long enough. May I make the hop? I wish you could, Marshal, but Professor Newton must go to handle the scientific end. Vina will assist him and relieve Winky as navigator. That's my crew. Maybe next trip.
Rocky! What about me?
Not this trip, Bobby.
But Rocky, I'm getting to be a real big guy. I'm growing and putting on weight every day. Gosh, and my muscles are.
Sorry, Bobby. It's a long hop. We have to conserve all space and weight.
I was only kidding, Rocky. You know I'm just a little fella. Gosh, I hardly weigh anything. Really, I'm anemic.
Bobby is more valuable to me than his weight in instruments.
Crew members prepare for blast-off. Bobby, get to work.
Roaring rockets, you mean I can go along?
That's what I said.
Yes, sir.
Stripped of all weapons except the bow missiles, Mr. Secretary.
I'm sorry it had to be done. But with the full capacity load of fuel, you're still on the danger mark of a successful blast-off.
Well, sir, what good are weapons? If the folks on Fornax want to fight and they have as much power as the professor says, then anything we'd have would look like so many pea shooters.
Quite right, Winky.
Ship ready for blast-off, sir.
The ground crew is ready too, Rocky. The propulsion necessary to get you off Earth is 20 tons against a power setting of 8. The acceleration thrust will be G4.6.
Shall I alert the blast-off synchronizer, sir?
I'll do it, Winky. Take positions. Ovina.
I know what you're going to say, Rocky. With an acceleration of G4.6, there will be a shock which will cause us to black out. Don't worry, Rocky. Professor Bobby and I are up to it. We'll be the best crew you've ever had.
Thank you, Vina. Switch on blast-off synchronizer.
Happy landing on Fornax, Rocky. My main worries will be over when you're safely in space. You're loaded with fuel to the limit.
We'll make it, sir.
Pleasant dreams back there.
Blast-off, sir. I sure hope the robot control keeps the ship on course until Rocky returns to consciousness.
I'm sure it will, Marshal.
What's happened? They're in a crash dive.
Rocky! Rocky, can you hear me?
Rocky! Come in, Rocky!
Rocky! Pull out of your dive!
Blast off successful.
Ship under manual control. Out.
Gosh, what happened?
You must have come to and then blacked out again.
Golly, Rocky,
Go tell the crew the blast off was super stellar.
How do you intend to land on Fornax, Rocky, in case there are no landing facilities? Or do we face that problem when we come to it?
No, Vena. If the professor is right, and he usually is, we won't find the necessary steel for a blast-off cradle, so our best bet is to attempt a landing on the tail section. Then we'll be ready for return flight.
Sir, radar scope shows the reflection of a spaceship in the vicinity.
State our flight license. As for identification.
XV2 on license flight 4, 540. Please come in and give flight license. XV2 to unidentified spaceship. Please give flight license. XV2 to unidentified spaceship.
We haven't got a license, Rocky, but you'll find out who it is soon enough.
Griff, huh?
Right.
Take your battle stations.
Load missiles in forward tube.
Okay, Rocky. But that won't much more than scratch the paint of that ship.
I know. Our only chance is to climb up into the rocket warts and score a direct hit in the tubes.
That's going to be awful hot work and awful good shooting. Great shooting, Rocky. Hey, Rocky, switch on the grin.
Look. Call the crew forward, Monkey.
As you know, we left with just enough fuel to get us to Fornax and return. We didn't anticipate the incident while blasting off, and, well, now this brush with Griff has used our small fuel reserve. Now, we have three choices. The first, we return to Earth and refuel.
You won't get my vote on that, Rocky.
Nor mine.
The second is to change course, head for the RV-5 space station, refuel, and continue on our way. That should get us to Fornax and back to Earth.
Yes, but Rocky, we can't risk taking the extra time. Think what could happen if a third missile crashes Earth.
What's your third plan, Rocky?
Without further incident, we can probably make Fornax, but then we gamble. Does that moon really have life? And if so, can its inhabitants supply the power to get us back to Earth?
You know how we're voting, Rocky.
That goes for all of us, Rock. You see, even the orbit jet agrees. Can't get her an inch off course.
Hey, Winky, you see what I see?
Well, rattle my rocket reflexes. Crew forward. Fornax, dead ahead.
Mighty meteor. It's terrific. But sort of creepy, too.
How many times have I watched and studied Jupiter's moon in the telescope? And now I'm going to land on it.
Part of that moon looks like millions of diamonds. That starts to confirm your theory, Professor Newton.
Prepare for landing.
take positions and check each other's safety harness.
These instruments must be daffy. We're accelerating at 28 miles per second.
Gravitational pull's terrific on us.
It's twice that on Earth.
Stand by to erect and uncage gyro.
Standing by, sir.
Erect and stabilize.
Erect and stabilize.
Give me a 90-degree arrow signal into gyro.
Signal in, sir.
Hang on. We're turning ship.
Set power, counteract gravitational pull.
Counteraction power on, sir.
Give me a 3G boost, Winky.
3 Gs.
Give me an altitude count down.
65,000. 55,000. 45,000.
Boost power. Give me more, Winky. More. Full power, Winky. Come on, got it.
Full power on, Rocky, but we can't keep this up.
What's our emergency tank?
We're already on it. Sparkling stardust, Skipper. I never thought we'd make it. End of the line, folks. Step right up for your first look at Fornax. Now, folks, don't crowd. There's plenty of room for one and all.
Amazing. This means there is life, some kind of life here.
Yeah, but what kind?
Small mind is too ready to accept the apparent. Now, we've always believed that life wasn't possible on Fornax. But look, Rocky, look, those pyramids, no, they are not a phenomenon of nature. There must be a civilization here, too.
Come on, Rocky, let's have a look around.
We'd better see what we're in for first, Bobby. Winky.
Sir?
Uncage a mechanical canary. We'll first test the atmosphere out there.
Can't take chances in a strange world. Come on, Bertie, get out there and investigate. And listen to me, Chirp Chirp. If you tell me that I've got to put on a spacesuit, I'm going to pluck all your tail feathers out one at a time, the hard way.
Professor, would you take the atmosphere reading, please?
Of course.
Lena, let's bring the log up to date.
Oh, dear. I do hope I brought the right clothes.
So far, there's no trace of dangerous radiation. The temperature and humidity have dropped slightly from inside the ship. Nice little birdie.
Landing on Fornax successful at 1410. But full acceleration was needed to counteract extreme gravitational pull. Our fuel is exhausted. You got that? There is evidence of a skilled human life, and we can only hope that the power which projected their missile to Earth can be adapted to our spaceship so that we can return again. I am hoping we will have the friendly cooperation of the people who probably live on this moon. Well?
The birdie says tweet, tweet, Rocky. It's spring, and it's safe to go outside.
That's right, Rocky. Why, it's comparable to a May Day in Connecticut. I can almost smell the flowers.
Roaring rockets. Let's go out and have a real sniff.
Enter that in the log, Bennett.
Oh, Rocky. One moment, please. See, Rocky? I I was right about their lack of alloys for steel. And their architecture, it dates far back.
Yes. I wonder how much those stone blocks weigh.
Ooh, twice what they would on Earth. The ratio of weight here is 2 pounds to our 1. We'll all feel it. And we'll be a lot heavier, too.
Well, let's go meet the people.
The seal is broken, sir. The escape hatches and ports are all open, and that's the fresh air of Fornax you smell.
Can we have a look around now, Rocky?
Sure, Bobby, and you'll probably see plenty. Oh, Vina, haven't you been putting on weight lately?
Me? Put on weight? No, I don't think so.
Oh, why not try the cargo scales? You better go with her, Bobby, and make sure she gives us an honest count.
She doesn't look any heavier to me.
No? Wait and see.
Gosh, Rocky, she weighs 236 pounds. Jumping satellites, Vina. You gotta go easy on the mashed potatoes. Those shooting satellites. This is super cosmic.
Hey, Professor, you said Connecticut. This is more like Palm Beach, Florida. I sure wish a 200-pound bathing beauty would walk by.
Where's the reception committee? Isn't there anyone here to greet us?
Isn't there anyone here?
Hello! 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 Hello!
Rocky, look. Amazing.
Take a bow, Professor. We like you, Moon. You, us, be good friends, huh? Heap cosmic pals? No?
You have journeyed from Earth? Ah, then the flight of our missile was a success. It attracted your attention to Fornax. I'm very glad you like Moon.
But you speak our language. How is this possible?
I have prepared for this occasion. You are not the first Earth people to visit us. Sematura Lovinovax. Come on, Toll. I am Zorovac, the elected ruler of Fornax.
Well, happy horizon, Mr. Zorovac. This is my boss, Rocky Jones. This is Vina and Professor Newton.